ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a decent show. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
It's all right. I don't know. We're playing it by ear.
We're gonna play it by ear. We don't know if it's gonna be a great show or not. We're gonna wing it tonight. I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's decent in the sense we got clothes on. I think that's one way. It's decent can mean so many different things.
I'm not gonna stand up right now.
No, I mean that's your business. I can't. I know I can't. So
I'm not gonna stand up right now. But anyhow, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have an awesome show with at least shirts on. My name is Just.Hek.
Where you from, Just.Hek?
My name is Just.Hek, and I am from Just Another Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And with me is the illustrious, the beautiful, the talented, the shimmiest of all shimmies.
Oh, me. I'm Cindy Lee, y'all. Cindy Lee, they and she. I just like to receive
You like to receive
compliments.
Yeah.
That's another episode about receiving.
Yeah.
I am,
I like that you're utilizing the backgrounds now.
Look, thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
I'm seeing it.
You inspire me. You inspire me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
That and I was teaching young people in my art. I was like, oh, I'm here for the art, but it'll be a different teachable moment. But yes, hi y'all. Sex on shuffle all day.
On shuffle. And tonight we're gonna talk about college.
We're
gonna talk about FAFSA, Pell Grants.
No, we not.
No,
please go look into the deck. Look into the Debt Collective and go read into student loan forgiveness.
We're not talking about the sexiness of student loans and meal cards and
read your paperwork. Don't apply for that credit card that they try to give you.
Don't do it. Oh my God, really, for real. I got $3,000 and was like, why did they give a 19-year-old $3,000?
I mean, that's what got me to Black College Weekend. So, it comes, the goods and the bads come together.
Swipe.
Right. So cheddar biscuits. You get cheddar biscuits. You get cheddar biscuits.
Everybody gets cheddar biscuits. Even if you're lactose intolerant.
I got the lactate pills on deck for you.
Sit that shit in front of you. Let it breathe.
That's it.
You ain't got to eat it. Just let it sit there. I put that there. I made that happen. There you go.
That's right. Bubble guts from Hector.
So we're going to talk about the college days and our memories, our fond memories of classes and parties and whatever else that pops into mind. Cindy, what was when did you know you wanted to go to college?
Shit. I will say that I don't know where that came from. I gotta talk to my therapist about that. But I was 14 going to college open houses. So I'm sure that's low key, get me the fuck out of my house. Let me find a way. Because I remember the people would be like, oh, no, it's too soon for you. We're trying to talk to seniors. But that was always the thing. That was always the progression. That's the thing that you do next. If you want to do anything. I didn't know what anything meant, but I knew that's what I got to do after. That's what's going to get me out the house. And that's what's going to get me closer to sex, whatever sex was, because I was interested in sex back then, but I didn't know what to do with that.
Gotcha.
What about you?
I think it was always an idea, and the reality of when graduating from high school became so all of it just graduating high school was just I just did it. It wasn't, it was this thing. But in realization and looking back, no one in my family ever graduated high school. Or yeah, not in my immediate family. Like my mom, I think got her GED. They, you know, my dad got his college degree in jail, but I was the first to graduate in the house that I was living in. Particularly, I was the first to graduate, and didn't really realize that that was like a big thing. I just thought like these are just things that I got to do.
Right.
And so college kind of followed. I was in foster care at the time, so I would go to independent living classes, because that's like when they're about to eject you. Like, okay, 18, you know, you may be out, whatever, you know. So I remember this lady just saying, you know, you should think about college. And I was like, okay. And she started telling me all these stories about it. And I was like, oh, that seems dope. I had a chance to go to a couple of schools. I want to say NYU was a choice at the time that I really didn't want to go to, because like you, but even more intense, I wanted to get out of New York. I wanted to get out of New York. I wanted to change the scenery. Like I wanted to see what life was like outside. I knew I was in a box. Yeah. And I had to get out of that. And so yeah, like that was it. NYU was a choice, and I ended up I wanted to go to University of Rhode Island, but that ended up being too expensive. So foster care was going to pay for all of my tuition for NYU, which with proper guidance, I would have been an NYU graduate, or at least an NYU attendee. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would have been on my transcript. Yeah. But it just didn't, you know, I you know, looking back, like no one really knew about college in my house or around me. Like everybody was just like, oh shit, you graduated high school. Like, wow. And so when I look back, like, so I ended up at a small school called Hesser College, which was in New Hampshire. And I don't know how I ended up there. I think I got some like mail some mail from them, and I was just like, screw it, let me apply. Yeah. And my aunt and my uncle, or my mother's aunt and uncle, took me up there. Actually, like, took me to the school. I got to like walk around the campus grounds, and you know, we looked at like, man, you know, at the time I'm looking at Manchester like, oh, this is like some country bumpkin shit. Yeah. No, it wasn't. When I got up and I was up there, I was like, oh, this is different. But that's another story for not gonna give you all the goods right then and there, but it ended up being a really dope experience. You know, picking that school probably wouldn't have been the best career choice, but you end up where you end up anyway, right? So yeah, so I think that was the realization. Like it was like 16, 17 when I thought like, okay, like and it wasn't like oh, it was just like, okay, I'll just go. Yeah. And then, you know, they was telling me, like, social workers were telling me like their stories of when they were at like Ithaca and Stony Brook and all these places, and I'm thinking those are cool, but I want to go even further out. I want to go out, and then I was just like, okay, and then, yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah, you know.
That's funny because I think at first I wanted to go out, and I was looking at like the University of Miami. Ooh. And Howard.
Your mom's from Florida, right? Your mom was staying down there at the time, wasn't she? Or
no? She moved as soon as I finished my bachelor's. Like as soon as I was done, she was like, okay, I'm out, because she got, you know, her little letter without too much detail. And she's been there ever since. Right. But when I realized, because I don't know anything and I have no one to have a conversation with around those things, I think I started hanging out at the guidance counselor's office and getting a little more intel, because that was the chill spot.
Yeah, the guidance counselor?
Huh?
Yeah, guidance counselor?
I see. Well, here's the thing,
your
right?
School was fancy.
My school was in the suburbs. Like, you forget, like, folks are like, my mom did whatever she needed to do to make sure I went to school on Long Island, because in her head, that was gonna save me, right? She was very adamant. Like, when I lived in Brooklyn, when I lived in Queens, she was like, she would find a way, even when we was living in like a 2-bedroom with like 5 or 6 of us, right? She was like, please, because in her head, if I stayed anywhere else, I would be in trouble, right? She was very like, something's gonna go down. Wow. So we did have guidance counselors, and I don't remember why I was starting to chill there a little bit more. Probably because I was writing poetry, and one of the guidance counselors was in charge of the poetry club. But I started recognizing the difference between what kind of financial aid I was going to receive if I stayed in state. And that was a factor, because the schools that I liked were UMiami, was Howard, was NYU. And then I started looking at the tuition. Right. And like NYU at that time was like 40 something grand.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I was mad about NYU because the guidance counselor's office wanted me not to apply, because they were like, you're not going to get in. That's not a safe bet. And I found out the day after the SEEK deadline, or the HEOP deadline, right? The education opportunity. The day after the deadline, I found out that NYU had it. So I tried to like reach out to them. I'm like, oh, I didn't know y'all had this. Can I sign up? And they dubbed me. They were like, no. Because at that time, NYU was where I thought I was going to go get a sexuality degree. But my year was the year they stopped offering it, or they said that they stopped offering, because they had a big sex program that was well known over there. Right. But anyway, I did EOP at Stony Brook.
Yeah. I know a lot of
people.
So
I did, I went, nobody knows nothing in my family. I think my sister knew a little bit, because she went to school. She went to CW Post for a little bit. Oh, nice. So I'm the second to graduate high school, but I'm the first to graduate college. Nice. And to have like a master's. Nice. So they would take me to the local. Like, Stony Brook was far to me, even though that was Long Island. Yeah. It felt far. And it was one of the only schools I went that had housing. Because remember, I was like, I want to go away. It was either that or the College of New Rochelle, because my English teacher liked that college.
New Rochelle's lit.
Right, so a part of me was like, what would have happened if I would have went there? Pregnancy. But at that time in my life, I didn't know it was an all women's college.
Pregnancy.
So when I got there, I was like,
got somebody pregnant.
I mean, maybe I would have came out earlier. But I was really adamant, like at that time. Well, see, there's layers too, because when I was looking for colleges, I was also doing some unseemly things as a young person. That's why I think it's funny about college, because when I got to college, I felt retired, right? A lot of the people in my people, this is their coming out. Like, this is their opportunity to like wild out and party. And I was tired by then. I was like, 100%. We're all set. I'll be like, oh, you don't know how to do this? Hold on, let me help you, and then go forth, right? Like, a lot of people had like their sexual debuts around me, so I was really like, here are some tips. Here's my number. Like, let's find a way to be safe, right? Here's 2Ride. Call 2Ride, right? Those kind of things.
Here's a whistle. Blow it.
That's it, right? And the pleasure things too, like, here's how you communicate how you feel. Here's how you can, make sure he doesn't get up, right? Like, his knees is wobbly. Like, we would have different conversations back in my day.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's interesting.
But I feel like I'm interested in our different experiences, because even we're not that far apart in age, but I still think we have different experiences off the strength that
We're a generation apart. We're 5 years
Yeah,
apart.
a little bit, right? Because
Yeah.
I was in college when Facebook first came out, right? Like that's when social media, when Black Planet,
Yeah.
when Mi Gente, like all those things.
No, I was in the street.
Right.
I was running around when those things
Right.
came about. So I there was no social media when I was in college. So everything was kind of like word of mouth or
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Like we definitely have a connection with getting to college and kind of having done a lot of things already. I kind of use college as a way to uh, lower my defense a little bit and kind of like
okay.
be a kid. You know what I mean? Like because up until that point, I was like I was on my own. Like I was, you know, and always having to be on point. That like raises you, that grows you quicker. And being being witness to different things also grows you. So you kind of like, you know, like I didn't know, you know, like there was certain things that as a kid I didn't know, but I knew how to like cook crack. I knew how to like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I knew like how to like clean a gun. I knew how to, and that's not like gangster stuff. These are things that I was as a kid. These are my uncles and showing these things to a kid, or not even really showing me because no one ever said, "Yo, come here." But they also not paying attention to me, and I'm watching these things. You know, or like being out, like I was out in the street at a young age, so like till late at night. So all these things, you know, like these are things that are not normal for a child to go through, and then as a teenager, you're just like, okay, and you know, multiple things. So when I got to college, it was like I'm safe. Like I can like kind of like be a kid. And I was, you know, like I was the youngest person in the clique that I hung out with, because you know, you get to school, you kind of figure out what clique you're gonna be in, and at first you try like the test clique. So my test clique was the black kids from Roxbury, from Mission Hill, and from like Dorchester. And I'm hanging out with them, and I'm just like, this is shit. You know, they talking about stuff that is like, when I go back home, like this shit is like waiting for me there. And I was like, I don't want to live this stuff right now. Like I want to go to like keg parties and like, you know, like wake up next to a goat, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
is that what was happening?
No.
Did you have a hangover?
No.
Not a goat.
No. But there was some funny stories. I got a couple. I can share. But like I wanted to like have those experiences, you know? So I ended up, that's how I linked up with one of my best friends, Owen. Shout out to Owen, O Headley Fitness on Instagram. Check him out. He didn't always look like that, y'all.
Get out of here.
I'm just being honest. Yo, he definitely turned it around. He looks great now, but back then we did a lot of drinking. We had a poster. No, we did a lot of drinking. Like it'd be like, yo, I swear to God, like it'd be like Tuesday. Finish class, come upstairs. Yo, what we doing? I don't know. All right, we gonna go to the liquor store. Like that was it. Like it was just like, and there was like a poster that he had. And at the beginning of the semester, he's like, yo, we're gonna drink every bottle on that poster.
Oh my goodness.
And we did. Like we drank, not in one night, thank God, but like we drank everything on that poster.
Your
like
poor liver.
No, it was a trooper. Like it was just like, yo, like, and you know, it made me a connoisseur of alcohol in a way, because I kind of knew, you know, like what I liked, what I didn't like. But yeah, we would just be like, so I clicked with him, and he was just like super charismatic. Like I watched him. I kind of watched the older guys, tried to emulate them a little bit, and always got caught. Always got, like, you know, just thinking that I could do what they could do, and nah, it didn't always work out with that, you know. One of the funniest stories I have is my freshman year, and you know, you get introduced to creeping. In my time, and you know,
Back
creeping.
in my day.
Yeah, like you know, you go around and you start knocking on doors. Hey, what's up? What y'all doing? What you doing here?
I can't.
You know what I'm saying? And you kind of peek at it. Oh, what's up? What you doing? And there was this guy. His name was Nate, and he was like the basketball star of my school. So I walked into this one room, and Nate is there. Right. So I'm like, oh, my bad. And I'm not gonna lie, like he's the basketball star. Dude's like 6'5".
Oh, why?
I'm not competing with him. You know what I'm saying? You know, I you know, it is what it is. I know where I'm supposed to go. So I say, yo, Nate, my fault. I'm out.
Yeah.
So I'm walking down the stairs. I run into somebody in the hallway, and we talked for like 10 minutes, right? And I'm going down the stairs, and I went to the 5th floor, and then I worked my way to the 3rd floor. I go to the 3rd floor, and I'm like, yo, I know where I'm gonna go. Boom. I go, knock on the door, peek my head in. Nate's there. I'm like, how did Nate beat me down the stairs?
MVP.
I was like, this is what yo, I had people crying the next morning, crying because literally they were like, yo, yeah, that's Nate. They were like, oh, Nate did that to me a couple times. Like, I was just like, yo, but how does he do it?
Shapeshifter.
Yeah, it was like, does he know like is it like a wall? He knows like a secret passage to get.
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the most incredible things I ever witnessed. Like, it was like,
you still don't know the phenomenon.
And that was like 20 some years ago. And it's still like, I'm like, yo, like, how the hell did he do that? Like,
he's right here. Hey, come on now. Imagine.
I died, right? I died. Yo, if they really walked out, I'd be like this. That's it. Funeral right here on the show. Yo, straight up though, like, yo, it was crazy. I mean, there's like a bunch of like, you know, like little stories. One of my favorite early experiences was Owen. I credit a lot of these experiences from because me and him were together for a lot of them together when we went to school together. So I was like, yo, we out, we going to Providence. And I'm like, word? And I'm like, Providence? I don't even know where Providence is. Like, I just heard of it because of Big East basketball. And so they're just like, yo, we're going to Providence. So I'm like, I've never been like, I only been to New Hampshire. So now we're going to a new state? Bet. Let's go.
Yeah.
Boom. We drive all the way down to Providence. They're having some party on campus. We end up going to some girl's room or whatever. And they're like, yo, we're going to have our own party here. So I'm the youngest person. I'm a teenager. And these guys are like young adults. So I'm like, bet. I'm like, oh shit, like this is gonna be dope. So I'm just sitting there just chilling, like, okay. So they're like, yo, we're gonna go to the store, we'll be right back. So we're there just chilling, talking. And I was underage drinking, y'all. It is what it is. I'm handing a beer and I'm talking to the girls there, and they're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from New York. They're like, oh wow, really? What's that like? And I'm just like, oh, okay. So early on, I'm learning the power of like being from New York, which goes both ways because it goes both ways. And so they come back and they have this big Gatorade vat filled with grape Kool-Aid. Shout out to Kool-Aid. And listen, grape Kool-Aid is awesome. And and then they pull out this bottle, and it wasn't even a big bottle, it was like this big. And it was clear, And I'm like, what is that, like vodka or something? Like, what is that? They're like, no, this is Everclear.
Oh,
Yeah. And they poured the whole bottle into this big vat. I'm handed a cup. And they're like, yeah, just drink it. Don't worry. So I drink it and I lose parts of the night. I don't, it starts getting foggy. At one point, I remember handing Owen a cup of this shit. And he's like, what? He's like, yo, what is this? I was like, just drink it.
Yep. Super assertive.
And he loses. Like, we all have like blocks of memory that Everclear, that's just 300 proof. So we just don't remember. Yeah, it's super, it's strong. It's stronger than 151. I think it was like 300 proof.
151.
Yeah. And what I remember next was I'm on the couch and I'm talking to this girl. She's 6'4".
Good God.
6'4", 6'5". She's like 220 pounds. 230. Baby. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there talking. And the next thing I know, we're making out. And I'm like, okay.
Look at God.
Yeah. And my boy, oh man, forget his name. For this story, we're gonna call him Hakeem. I don't remember it. I forget his name just because he was part of the clique. It was funny though.
It's because of the Everclear. You don't.
Yeah, it's because if I spoke to Owen, his name would pop right up. But so he's right there. So we had this thing where if you were talking to a girl that they just wanted to make fun of you for or whatever, they'd be like, zoo.
See?
So he starts saying that, and I'm cracking up because I'm like drunk but I'm kissing her. I'm like, I don't care. I'm making out with this girl. And let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
Then this other dude comes and he's like, Hector, bring her into the room. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, no, I'm not down for that. So she starts laughing and we start making out a little bit more. And then he's like, yo, stop playing, bring her into the room. And I'm like, what? And I start laughing. And then I say, yo, man, leave me alone. And she throws up, like right on the side.
Oh.
He just threw up. And I looked over and I'm just like, oh God, like, okay, like whatever.
At least it wasn't in your mouth. That's good.
No, definitely not. But yeah, then like I went into the room and one of the dudes that I was hanging out with, his name was Justin. He was laying on the couch. He had a wife beater on. His pants were like rolled up a little bit for I don't know what reason. He was a white dude from upstate New York. Shout out to him and his family. But he had Tim's on, and it was funny because he was like half off the bed, and he's got a condom in his hand. He's waving it around like
I can't,
like it's candy.
I can't.
Yo, we were cracking up. We were like, "Yo, what are you doing? Why are you in the bed like this?" He was like, "Yo, you're being a player hater right now, like that." That was like a big thing back then because
player hater.
Puff Daddy in the family. P. Diddy in the family, you know who do it better.
I can't.
But yeah, he was like, "You're being a player hater right now." I'm just like, "Shut your ass up!" Like, yeah, yeah. It was a funny night. Like, it was definitely one of the funnier nights. We had a bunch of funny nights though, man.
Yeah,
like, it was.
That you may not remember.
No. I remember. I'm not gonna tell. No, there's something.
You can't. I think that's important. Really that's something gotta stay.
Yeah, they just gotta stay where they are. But yeah, the next story I'm gonna tell, but I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll tell a story of when me and Owen went to Vermont. And yeah, it was But
I
nah,
feel like I know that story.
college. I think I probably told you that one, already,
Mhm.
but the listeners, they definitely should hear this one.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's a safe story for the most part. But
Right.
I mean, I think that's what made college really great, because you formed these some long lasting
Yeah.
relationships from it. And you had like it was like the time when you came into your own. I
Mhm.
mean, I remember dudes dropping bars of soap into their laundry, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, yo, listen. And I would like show them how to do their laundry, because
Yeah.
a lot of people would come to school and their parents did everything for them.
Yeah.
And so I remember I taught one guy how to iron his clothes.
I believe that.
And he was like, because I had like did my pants in like a crease one day.
Of course you do.
Because you gotta be fly.
Fly.
Fly,
I knew it.
Cutting bread with that shit. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't fuck with you.
Drop it on your lap, you got a sandwich. And
I ain't fucking with you.
but it's like, just showing people like minor shit, or like, people. It was a dope time. It was definitely a dope time. She's trying to think, ladies and gentlemen, Cindy Lee Alves is trying to think of a story that did not include a gallon of KY.
I was pro lubricant in college. I was pro lubricant. If anybody got a lube experience because of me, I did it for you. I did it for you. I was pro pleasure, right? I talked about sex toys a lot. I put people on to, you go to Spencer's real quick, get a $10 bullet, make it do what it do. Even though I had to get one every month, that's fine. I didn't have money for the expensive things at that point in my life. It's funny to witness, because when you think about it in hindsight, like I felt really grown as far as experiences, but like emotional intelligence, I still felt like I was a kid in undergrad in terms of like experience of things that weren't traumatic.
You were a child.
Right. Sometimes I'll be forgetting that I was a child. We was doing some hood rat shit. It was great. So like how you have Everclear, Double Springs was for us. It was like 160 proof.
Yeah, no,
it was like $9. If we was feeling fancy, we got Henny, and we called it Do It Fluid. Well, I called it Do It Fluid. But most of the time it was Easy Jesus, because
Easy Jesus. Oh, evil
not
juice.
Everybody had
fighting, bro. Ooh-wee.
It's funny because I do not enjoy drinking now at all.
Of course not. That shit's horrible. Alcohol is bad. Like,
it's nasty. It's so nasty.
Yeah. I enjoy the occasional drink of like whiskey here and there.
Right, of course, or fruity.
But it's mixed. Like it's I put like I'm not. Yeah, no doctor's gonna tell you, yo, to keep a healthy immune system, take 2 shots a day of.
Not in this era. Back in the day, they would have been like, here.
Like it's
opium. Have fun.
Opium. Don't worry. Opium. Heroin.
Here, cocaine. Cognac for your kid. Cocaine. Just put it right here. There you go. Yeah. Which is also a fine thing to do, but that's different. We're not talking about
a fine thing to do.
It depends on who you ask. We got to decolonize our consumption.
It is not a fine thing.
That's another episode that we might have to come to terms with.
I'll be honest. I think that actually caused like my grandfather's alcoholism. Being all serious.
Is the cognac that little taste?
Like putting it to like numb your gums.
Yeah.
Like that's what I mean? Like that contribute. I think that's part of it. At least that's obviously you get older, but
sure. I feel like with any substance, there's like we can have a contesting with it, right? Because I have feelings around recovery too. Anyway,
Mhm.
I don't got any stories. I feel like that's probably because my memory is gone. Because I pledged my sorority like freshman year.
Right.
So I feel like that plays a significant part in how I was. And because of EOP, I had a dope ass EOP program when I went to school. So I started the summer before all the other freshmen did. So everybody felt brand new, and I was like, "Oh no, you want to go to SAC? You can just, go this way or go here for fried chicken at 3 a.m." But I did do a lot of fuck shit. I enjoyed my Caribbean parties. We had some real official reggae parties.
Yo, that's the thing with like Long Island colleges. Like the
Really?
Caribbean parties are dope out there. Like I went to a soca party that was like, I think it was at Stony Brook.
It's always Stony Brook. Stony Brook is lit.
Like it was like, that and SUNY Albany. Those were like
I heard.
Like SUNY Albany was like, I went there years later when I transferred to no, I went to SUNY Albany when I was out of school. Like but I was like working. I was talking to this girl and she invited me up. And SUNY Albany ruined that relationship.
Oh, is that we blame it on SUNY?
I definitely blame it on SUNY Albany. It was like, it was lit. It was SUNY Albany.
I heard about that.
SUNY Albany was super lit in like 2003. Ooh, super lit, bro. I mean, but then again, like you weren't really the Cindy Lee that we know, because in college you were like, you weren't, I mean, is it safe to say like you weren't?
Oh, you mean my queerness?
Yeah, like you weren't gay. You weren't.
I was an advocate. So like I did the coming out day of, I did coming out day, I did the National Day of Silence, I did those kind of things. I have friends who were queer. And
did you do that because maybe you always knew, or
maybe
you had an inkling?
Maybe. I always was like I don't want to say anti-bullying, but anti-bullying. So like anything that felt like an oppression, I was about. So it might be that, because I was always questioning, and I would go to like queer workshops and do my anonymous question and be like, oh, I remember one was like, can I be bisexual if I never had sex with a girl, right? Like still not understanding that identity and behavior is different. I think undergrad gave that exposure, but we also all were young, because when I remember speaking to some of my sorority sisters, like, I think, and they're like, nah, girl, you like dick too much, right? Because I always talked about sex. And so they attributed that to not being queer. And it's funny because my first like serious boyfriend, I met him when I was a senior. And I feel like he helped me come out, right? Because he's the only one that I talked to. He was like, oh, nah, like very affirming in that way, right? And then I didn't come out until I was with him in grad school. So I was around, but I wasn't around. And I was going to Pride because New York, that's just what you did as a New Yorker that had friends with queer folks. So it's undergrad Cindy Lee was very different. It's in terms of like impulse. I think I was very angry. I was very loud. And I didn't want to really talk to anybody but the people that I fucked with. And I made that really, really apparent. Especially because I pledged a sorority that wasn't like a Divine Nine, that wasn't or a NALFO, like that wasn't a Latin organization or anything like that. I pledged an organization that was local and multicultural. And I felt like that played a part too, because of it felt, I don't know, everything felt like a front to me. Everything was fronting. I think I I started learning that that's how people move, that people have an outside life and an inside life. And it didn't feel logical to me. So I think about that in terms of fraternities and sororities, because I pledged my organization for a number of reasons, but one of them is that they didn't beat you, right? Like, I won't say they didn't haze, because I did have uniforms and shit like that, and I did like march and things, but it wasn't.
I need pictures.
I have pictures. I got you. I got you. I got like one or two pictures. It makes me mad because every time I see it, I see my bun, because you were supposed to have your hair in a bun, and I didn't realize that my bun was a little to the right because I was doing it. And then I was a 5 in a line of 7. So my 7, shout out to my soror Lisa, she's, when they finally told me that my hair was crooked because I didn't know, I was mad at her. I was like, you behind me all day. You couldn't tell me it's off kilter? But whatever, that was on me because I don't look in the mirror for things.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I was at the tail end. Anyway, but like the hazing part, you know, folks will front. And now I realize they front for different reasons, because there's like national laws and things that are spoken and unspoken. But I used to be really mad that people would come to me like behind closed doors and tell me how they respect the way that I talk about organizational things. Right. But they would also be like, but I could never say that in public because I'm a part of like this other organization. But I think sorority life and me getting to be an RA like the last year is what helped me kind of navigate that code switch life, kind of navigate how to give a particular persona that works in certain settings.
Okay.
But it also helped me come out my shell more and talk more and be nice. I was not nice. And I feel like I was a little bit more approachable when they saw me talk, because before I would just have my face, and my face is very, I have like resting bitch face, I guess.
Okay. I can believe it.
So I think those things shifted me. The things I did for fun, they were fun. They were good times. We had a Red Lobster. I missed the cheddar biscuits. I missed the diner.
Ladies and gentlemen, if it seems like she's leaving some stuff out, it's because she is.
I am. It's not because I'm not good at telling stories, because I'm not sure what
was real.
No, not what was real. I wasn't on those kind of drugs until later. Nothing is real, actually, but that's another conversation.
College matrix theories. Right. The one kid who's got a 1.8 GPA trying to be all philosophical.
I mean, speaking of white kids, I think college was my first experience at looking at different judgments that I might have had around drugs, right, and also around like privileges, because the most pothead, like the most, like, I never saw a dude without some type of thing. I never saw him do work. I never saw him go to class or anything. And then he graduated with honors, right? To show these different dynamics is what I appreciated about college, because you believe, or like society had me believe, that certain things, if done out in the open like that, would keep you in a particular place. Right. And that's when I saw that certain people didn't always have that, right? So that you could be this person that looks wild to me in my judgment or whatever, but they still had honors and was seen as successful, and then left college to be whatever's mainstream. So it's really interesting to take a look at that. I appreciate Stony Brook for a lot of the access that I got to things. Right. And I know I could have did more if I knew what was available, or if I was present to that. Because there were folks that were mentors, but I never felt mentored by them. I felt like they were mentoring other folks.
Right.
So that's why, like, when my nieces went to college, I would tell them these particular things because I knew, regardless of the fun fuck shit, I felt like I was doing everything by myself. Yeah. So like, I wish I would have did like a study abroad, or I would have connected with faculty that did shit that I was into. But that shit didn't exist for me. And then I just focused on the social pieces. So I just did school and completed it. Because notice we talk about fun times, but we not really talk about studies. I feel like I did what needed to get done, but my focus was, what are we doing with the organization and what kind of fuck shit are we doing from Thursday to Sunday, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably should have took it a little bit more serious, but school was easy for me. And it got easier in college because in college is when like the internet really started to become a thing for me, like in part of my generation. So like, you know, like I didn't really have an email address until I got to college. Okay. And so when you know, like it just became easier, and it was just like answers were just there, or you know, like I don't know, it just kind of the work was easy. It wasn't that hard. I think it was like managing relationships was like the thing, you know what I mean, or like managing myself, or managing, you know, like really, you know, like I'm in school with people, and you know, I look back and I was like homeless for like my first year. Didn't even realize it, because I had realized like I had like moved all my stuff out of the place where I was staying at, the foster home I was staying. I had moved it all out, and didn't really like, I moved it to my grandmother's house. And really didn't have a plan. I was just like, I'm gonna go away to college, and when I get back, I'll figure it out. And you know, shout out to her. I mean, may she rest in peace. Because she was like, yo, you can stay with me. Like, what? I thought that's why you moved your stuff here. And I was like, no, I just moved there because I had to get out of there. And you know, it was just a lot of different dynamics that, you know, like everyone had normalcy, and I really, you know, but out up there, I got to have a little bit of normal. So those are the things that that's why I loved about college. And kind of, so my second college was Manhattanville. Okay. And I had found out about it through a neighbor, a sister of a dude that, because it was like the neighbor that it was like he had a sister who went there, and I was just like, you know what, that seems like a pretty good place. I read up on it. They had a scholarship. Boom, I got in there. And foster care was still footing the bill, because I hadn't turned 21 yet. So I went there, and Manhattanville wasn't the same as Hester. Like, it was bigger, but it was also what I what I loved about New Hampshire was there wasn't a lot of racism. Like, there was no, it wasn't. Manchester to this day, I've has so many interracial couples. I mean, it's a wild place, believe it or not. But it was like super accepting. Like, it didn't matter where the hell you from. Like, you're from New York, that's dope. Want beer, or you want you know, you trying to hit this bottle? Like, it was, you know, and of course, like, the northern you went, you kind of got some looks. But it was, I don't, you know, it might have been because we were Black and brown, or it might have just been because no one comes through this town, and who the hell are these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, who knows? I don't, care to, it really didn't matter to dissect it.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've been called a nigger more times in New York than anywhere else in the country.
Really?
To keep it a buck.
Yeah.
And I in the Handle, I felt the segregation and the racism.
I believe that because it's at the cusp.
We threw a party, and the party got broken up, and we all got caught. I ended up having to rake the president's lawn. Everyone else didn't have to do nothing.
Really?
And everyone in my dorm was white. It was like literally me. My roommate was white.
Yeah.
The room, all of my roommates were white. And and I was living in the Bronx. I would go home on the weekends because it's just a train ride home. But there was like you could kind of feel it, like, they would say some things sometimes and kind of look at me, and I look at them like, like, yo, don't say that no more. And I just laugh like, yo, like why would you say that here? Take a ride with me, and then you say that in a different place. You know what I mean? Like, it was just different. It was just it wasn't. I met really good people. There was a younger kid there because by the time I went there, I was like 2 or 3 years older than people.
Right.
And I was
that plays a part.
So, but everybody that I was cool with were like freshmen. They did HEOP and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this dude, like my man Sean, shout out to him wherever he's at. He was just like, me and him were like really tight. We remember there was like a Thanksgiving where my grandmother was sick, and I was like, yo, I gotta go make sure she's okay. He was like, yo, after you do that, like, you come to my house if you want. And I was like, wow, like no one ever did that. And I didn't go, but just the thought, like, that made us like, that was like, that's like my brother. Like, I don't care wherever I see him at, like, that's like my brother from another. And so, like, that I met like good people there. I kind of had met someone that I probably could have dated, but we never did. Just because I was just on some other shit at that time. But that's just my life too. I mean, I think my wife is like probably the one woman that I actually dated that I kind of almost didn't date, and it was just like, yeah, fuck it, like, I'm gonna see where this goes. But yeah, I mean, it was different. It also showed me, like, it was like the bigger school versus the smaller school, which was a little bit more intimate, where we all knew each other and everybody was cool. In Hanville, it was just different. It was just a different vibe.
Yeah.
And as much as I tried to make it a thing, it just wasn't the same. Like, my better experiences were at Hesser for sure. I mean, like, just getting into like there was obviously the last story that I'll tell right, was the Vermont trip, right? So at that time, my boy Jose, he's living in, so Jose was Owen's best friend, right? He was his best friend they grew up together or whatever, and they were like best friends for a minute. And he's staying with this girl up in Vermont, but they're like living together or whatever. They later end up breaking up for whatever reason. But we're up there and we're like, okay, it's like winter break, boom, we're heading to New York, but we're gonna go up to Vermont and then come down to New York. That's the logic. It's straight logic.
Sure.
Go north and then head down. So we go to this club. We go to this club in Vermont, and it's a regular club. We're in there drinking, we're having fun. I was trying to mac this one white chick, and she was like really older. And she was like, yo, you're way too young. Like, you gotta loosen up. And I'm like, how loose do you want me to be? Like, I don't know, like what you want me to do. So she ended up, like, so Owen starts macking the coat girl, the coat check girl, right? Who was cute. She was a cutie.
Yeah.
He's macking her the whole time. At the end of the night, Jose's like, yo, I'm gonna head home. Owen was like, yo, we're gonna head to this girl's house. So I'm like, bet. I'm like, bet. We out. We drive like 45 minutes. I'm not gonna say shout out to Vermont. Y'all need more road lights because it's dark as hell on them roads.
I hope it's better now.
It is not safe at all. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. But at least, you know, you guys were the first state to acknowledge the, you know, free slaves. So like, get it together, y'all. But anyway, so we get to the house. There's a bunch of kids in the living room drinking tequila. Remember tequila?
Oh wow.
They're drinking tequila and they're watching cartoons. And I look at Owen and I'm just like, oh God. And we get there and there's two other chicks and I'm just like, oh God, like, damn. Like, all right, so whatever. So I kind of start macking one of them, but then I'm like realizing, so once I find out her age, I'm like, nah, I'm good. It just wasn't, like, I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable macking a 60-year-old in Vermont. And so, yeah, I was just like, nah. And she was like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 18. She's like, oh, that's fine.
That's nothing. And I'm like, no, that's not.
No. No, there's a color disparity. And no, it's not cool. So
statutes and stuff.
So one thing leads to another. We head to the basement. And I don't know why we head to the basement. I think it's because the birthday boy, it was somebody's birthday, it's his kid. And we head to the basement and we just start talking. We're drinking and we're sitting there talking. And Owen's macking the girl, the coat check girl. He's still macking her. And everybody's talking, and then somehow the conversation goes to drugs. And people start talking about like shrooms and all types of psychedelics and all types. So me being the sarcastic asshole that I am, consistently, I go, hey, who in here's tried crack? Oh, and I'm like,
you didn't expect that response.
I looked at Owen when 6 of the kids turned out to be crackheads. I looked at Owen, I looked at him, I gave him the look like, yo, we gotta get out of here.
I ain't
one person shared a story about blowing $3,000 in Philadelphia on crack. One girl said that she had tried it once, but she was so high on heroin that she didn't feel it. Another person talked about how when she tried it, she didn't feel anything. So she took 2 more, and then next thing she knows, she was like giving head to somebody for like the last hit or whatever. There were just, the birthday boy goes into this really hyper description of how to cook crack. And I'm just there like, I'm uncomfortable now because I'm just like, you know, I got my own shit with
See what
crack.
happens?
With crack, and I just asked a question.
Right?
I'm just like, yo, like I'm not with this. I'm definitely not talking to any of these girls because they smoked crack before, and I'm not with that. And Owen is just like really trying to mac this girl. So one by one, so then the birthday boy's mom comes down. She's a really big woman. She's like 300 pounds. And then the father jumps out. He's got this baggy wife beater. He weighs like 90 pounds. I'm like, he's got a shotgun. He's like, freeze, motherfuckers. And we're just like, I'm just like,
how did you get there?
I keep looking at Owen, but Owen is insistent upon trying to bang this girl. I'm just gonna say what it is. So I'm just at this point, I'm just like, yo, like, I'm gonna die in this house in Vermont or whatever, and it's whatever. This is how it ends. So I'm just drinking, and I'm just in the corner. I'm just like, yo, and then they start talking about how the porcelain dog talks to them when they smoke, and I'm like, okay. I said it sounds about right. Does he speak English? And then they're like, yeah, he speaks English, and I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, you guys are gonna kill me anyway, so I might as well just get something off out of this. So,
but look at you now.
so the end of the night comes, and we find out that the birthday girl, that the birthday boy and the coat check girl used to date. And so the only reason we left is because the coat check girl said she was going to sleep with the birthday boy. Like, she's going to sleep with him because she knows him, and she didn't know Owen. So Owen was like, nah, you got to take us home. So she was like, okay, cool, I'll take you home. So she drove us. I don't know where. I fell asleep in the car because I was just like, yo, you know what? They may just drop us off in the woods somewhere. So fuck it. It is what it is. We get to the house, and I remember we get out the car, and at that time what was hot was I had brought the bootleg Nas tape of I Am. They had bootlegged it heavy. So before I Am even came out on CD, they had the mixtape, or they had the tape rather. And I had that. I had brought it, and I had gave it to Owen. I was like, yo, he had traded me something for whatever. I gave it to him, and we get out the car, we get up the stairs to Jose's house, and he goes, oh man, I left my Nas tape in there. He goes run down the stairs. I said, man, fuck that Nas tape. Like, what are you talking about? And I stormed up the stairs. I just went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and we started. We laughed about the story, but I was tight. I was tight initially, but
I know.
We were cracking up. It was like, yo, like porcelain dogs talking and young kids smoking crack. And it was.
I'm just glad y'all made it alive.
Oh man, I thought we were gonna die there. No, seriously.
See, I believe you.
I thought we were gonna be murdered there. Like,
yeah,
like, okay, we're gonna do these drugs and then we're gonna kill you. I'm just like, yo. But yeah, that was the Vermont story, and that was like the story. I mean, it ages well. It's full bodied.
I love me a full bodied.
Yeah, I mean that was. I mean, there's plenty of other stories, but I think the two that I told were the safest ones to tell. Just I have to change names and other stuff. It just I have to get clearance to tell some of those other stories. And but the college was a great time, and I would never change anything from it. It was a beautiful time. I met a lot of great people. Shout out to Owen, shout out to Jose, shout out to Kathy Bickford, who was really cool.
The whole government.
Cool white chick. No, she was. I mean, you can't say her name without saying the government, which is crazy. Like, I can never just call her Kathy. Like, even when I talk to her, hey, what's up, Kathy Bickford? And she just.
I ain't fucking.
That's how we all call her. Like, all of us call her. We just, that's what we call her. Call her Kathy Bickford. And we'd be like, how you doing, Kathy Bickford? And then I might say like Cat short later, but normally, like if I say bye, I'm like bye, Kathy Bickford, and she's like bye, Hector. She told me one time, she's like, you don't have to say my whole name, and I'm like, I like saying the whole name. It goes well. Shout out to our whole crew, man. Shout out to those the Hesser alumni that may hear this. Shout out to the Manhattanville alumni. Man, college was a great experience, and I'd never take it back. And that's all I have for tonight.
What's one take home message you'll give to someone listening to these elder millennial Gen X college stories? What is one thing you'd like to one piece of advice?
Like learn how to do your laundry and learn how to like iron. Those are important when you get to college. And meal card money. Learn how to ration that out, because if you don't, you end up doing some strange things to eat.
See, those are the stories people were wanting to listen
to. But yeah.
What you do for a Sprite remix? Well, that's my era.
Yeah, that's your era. It was a regular Sprite and nothing. I didn't do anything for
Sprite remix was delicious. They gave us cases of that shit.
Yeah, just live your life. Enjoy being young, because before you know it, you're telling stories like it's 20 years, and it's 20 years have passed, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it, but 20 years passed and you got no hair, you got bad knees, dissolvable stitches in your mouth, and
don't talk about my stitches.
You got all types of, you're talking about whether you should eat more fiber or like eating healthy, watching your carbs.
Psyllium husk. Get your psyllium husk.
Yeah, like just live your life, man. Live it while your metabolism is still fast.
I ain't fucking with you. Fuck metabolism. Fuck half-ass boys knocking at your door trying to be like, what y'all doing? Fuck all that.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
No, don't fuck all that. I would say, stay present, have fun. I would document, right? Like document shit, keep shit for your archive, enjoy that shit. And I know that's the time, in my experience, that's the time that a lot of people fuck for fuck's sake, but find out what feels good. Because that like jackhammer in a kind of fucking pink cookies in a plastic bag, like it's not the move. It's not the move. And get consent about your storytelling so that you can tell these stories without ruining marriages. Hopefully nothing that will happen. And hopefully, porcelain dogs don't talk to you without consent. I think that's the biggest.
They don't need consent. They live rent free up here.
That's a whole other episode. Who talks to you? Who talks back?
Man, listen.
Which inanimate objects talk
say
to you?
No to crack. Don't do crack.
Please.
Don't do crack.
Please don't do things that
don't do crack.
Cause you to speak to porcelain dogs.
Don't do crack. Consent. I know I keep saying it to you, but don't smoke crack. Don't smoke crack. Please.
I would even say don't drink Everclear. Don't drink high proof cirrhosis in a bottle. Devil Springs. Don't do it. But have fun. But don't,
have fun. Live your life.
Have fun. Find your people. Keep your people. Nourish your people.
Yeah. Word.
And say no to whack ass.
Yes.
That's it.
And don't smoke crack.
And don't smoke crack. The more you know.
The more
Thanks,
you know.
everyone. Tune in next time for what the war on drugs did to
Nancy
our
Reagan.
generation.
Nancy Reagan.
Thanks.
She rolled over in the grave. Like, see, I told you.
She can. So can her bitch ass husband. Roll, tumble. I don't give a fuck.
No.
Yeah, I know people might feel away. Is that treason? Fuck that. Like, I don't care.
I'm not touching that one.
My people know.
I know.
My people know.
Listen, I'm not touching. Listen, we can talk about that another show. I want to keep it just on college.
College? Yes.
Just on college.
Use the Everclear to burn the system down, y'all.
Yeah.
This is Cindy Lee, the host of Sex on Show.
Hey, don't smoke it down, though.
Don't smoke it down.
Don't smoke it down.
Mm-mm.
Don't smoke it down.
Mm-mm.
Listen, couches are heavier now, man. You don't want to put that on your back. You're trying to sell it.
I ain't fucking with you.
No,
No, it's not the same.
And I'm Just.Hek of Just Another Podcast. Yes, but definitely enjoy your life and enjoy the years. And you know, that's pretty much it. Yeah, have great
fun.
night.
Yes.
Have a great night. Have a great day tomorrow. Have a great everything. All right. Talk to y'all soon. See y'all next week. Deuces.
Shimmies. Don't fake orgasms.
Don't fake orgasms.